Hmm. That's all right, so you're on. Although,
Yeah, I'll get that.
so, there it is. Like anybody can see it anyhow, but.
It's on, just trying to get.
Where's the room?
There's another one right there. Yeah, I am such a.
On the input. Those are beautiful places. Okay, how do we get these up there? Okay, they're in, or they were, I don't. Okay. Start with the agenda. The agenda is a Word document. Okay, thanks, Chris. Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and I would first like to say that I'd like to introduce the new chief. A lot has happened since our last meeting, but welcome, Chief Mark. I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Okay, that being said, the reading of the minutes, I mailed them out, and by the way, Dave Van Wally, our other board member, is in I guess you wouldn't, I don't know if you call it rehab or whatever. He was in the hospital. He fell and he's in not, it's what do you call that? Rehab or something after you've been in the hospital. So he's under the weather, and we'll have to see where that ends up. So that being said, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, I make a motion to accept them as issued. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. As far as new business is concerned, I introduced the new chief already. We also had a meeting about a week ago to elect officers for the board. You're stuck with me again as the chairman, and Gail as the treasurer or secretary, and Dave as the financial officer. Moving on to the December month ending reports. Well, wait a minute. I've got one thing to say about, there's one other slide there.
PDF?
I included, yeah, I think it's a PDF. I included the distribution that we got, our December tax distribution. So I can read this. In the general fund for the township, we got 31,000. I'm just gonna round these numbers off. In the fire department, we got 649, almost 650,000. These are all from property taxes. And then into the cumulative fund, we got 48,000. Then from license and excise tax and those kinds of things, we got some smaller amounts. And for the total in each account, that would be the property tax and the license and excise. We got in the township fund, we got $33,207. In the fire fund, we got 706,741. And in that's 706,000. And in a King fund, we got 49,961. So I thought, let you know, that's how much money we got from the fall distribution. And as you know, we get one in late June, we get a distribution. We get paid twice a year from tax revenue and the other miscellaneous revenues. Any questions on any of that? Yeah. Which one? We haven't levied a tax on township assistance for a number of years. For some reason, we've had enough cash in there and there was really no need to build up anymore. We've been spending quite a bit less than our budget every year. And, so that's why it shows zero property tax. So there's no levy, we didn't need it. Any other questions? Okay, the first slide on the financial is the rainy day fund. And I'm just gonna jump to the bottom line there. I think if you got copies and it should be highlighted perhaps. The bottom, the total, we had a budget of $10,000 and we only spent, 300. So we got $9,700 left in the rainy day fund. And as you'll see there, in that little block down at the lower left, so that gives us the cash in there. So there's a difference between cash and the budget or appropriated funds. So there's money there that could be appropriated if we wanted to include it in a budget. And that's another one that doesn't get tax money included in it. The township fund is the next one, and I'm gonna just look at the total. I have another thing there. Let's just look at the total. We budgeted 76,792 and we spent 58,378. So there was $18,000 left there that was unspent. Supplies, we budgeted 1,800 and we only spent 1,139. The total other services, we budgeted 62,000. We spent 46, so there was almost $16,000 left there. So then capital outlays, we had budgeted 30,000 and we spent 7,600. So there's 22,400 left there. So in total, we budgeted 170,692. We spent 113,276. And we had 57,415 that we didn't spend. And in the lower left-hand corner there, you see the receipts that we got was 39,413, and that came from that distribution schedule that I talked about a few minutes ago. Township assistance, any questions on that? Township assistance, that's that one that screwed up, got on two sheets, direct poor relief or whatever. So the important page is the next one with all the numbers on it. We budgeted 27,300. Yeah, that one. 27,300 and we spent 12,841. So we got 14,458 left over. And again, there was no income coming into that one because we don't levy for that. So you can, I don't know, I don't think we didn't put in a levy for 26 either. Net fund. Okay, the next one is the Township Fire and EMS. That's what everybody's interested in. For personnel services, we budgeted $1,678,570. We spent $1,682,264. So that's like 95%. We were left with 76,385 of an unspent appropriation. Supplies, we budgeted 17,000. We spent 12,546. And we got 4,453 left unspent. Other services and charges, we budgeted 329,300, and we spent 244,332. So that left 84,964. And then in the capital outlays, we budgeted 35,000. We spent 35,934, so we overspent that account a little bit. So in total for Fund 1111, we budgeted $2,059,870, and we spent $1,895,877. So keep in mind, we did additional appropriations that are reflected in this too. So that's why we're carrying over more money than we would have ordinarily. If you recall, we did additional appropriations in the fire fund and community fund and then some of the townships. So, you know, earlier in the year, we were worrying about being over in a few accounts and we were having some issues, and then we did the additional appropriations. So that's kind of why we came out as good as we have. So the cash in that fire fund as of the end of the year, or as going into November, there was, or end of December, excuse me, was 610,636. And there's that, the next line is at 861,997, which is the distribution we got from the county, giving us a total cash balance at the end of the year of $1,327,305. Any questions on the fire fund? Okay, then the last one, well, I guess it's last. Yes, the last one is the cum fund. And we budgeted 450,000 there. We spent 431, so that left us with $18,659 in there. And as you see in the deal down below there, the receipts from the county, we got another 92,294 into that fund. So that leaves us with cash of 455,366 in the cum fund. Now, all the while we've been in a fire territory, we've been able to transfer funds into the cum fund from the general fund if we didn't spend all of our appropriation. Only in the fire fund in the territory. So we could take the fire fund, and if we didn't spend it all, we could transfer 5% into the cum fund as a way to save it. And state in its infinite wisdom, if you're not in a territory, you can't do that. So since we're a standalone department as of the first of this past year, we're unable to do that this year. So I think last year we transferred like 160,000 or something like that going from memory, but we can't do that if we're not in the territory. But in the township, we can transfer into the rainy day fund, so we can do 10% of some of our unspent appropriation. So for whatever that's worth, it's probably more information than you wanted to know, but that's the story on that. And then the last slide there is the actual cash in the banks, and I've highlighted those. You can look at them. It should reflect what I talked about on each individual account as we were going through there. So you can see what the balance forward into January was, or from December 1st, and where we're at, what we spent, what we received, and what's available. Any questions on any of that? Great. Yes.
I just thank the trustee and I will being good steward of tax dollars. We do that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Whoa.
Okay, so I covered all that. Now, some other new business. Since our last meeting, we had the big snow, if you remember, and early on, and I guess it was in November, and then that started to thaw, and we had some roof leaks over on the addition over here. And we had somebody come in, Bort Bontrager, to address the scupper on the north corner over here. And then, I guess there was a leak in in the captain's
Right around
room, and it kind of concluded it came in through the window when it was,
Right.
we had the driving rain. Needless to say, we'll, weather straightens out, we'll have them come back and do a inspection on the roof and maintain it as necessary, and then have to check and see if there's any water damage in the
Right.
wall or whatever it needs to be taken care of. So we'll no doubt have some expense there. We also discovered, there was a report of smelling gas in here. We've done some inspection on the heaters up here that are the originals. I guess when was that built? 1990 something. Yeah, so, we do have quotes to replace those, and, got, Goff is the one that we've been using them to do service on our air conditioning and heating, and they came in and they're the ones that looked at it to begin with and found pinholes in one of these. They gave us a quote of, $12,713 to replace them both. And, anyhow, this is their quote, their entire quote. You can see it's, if you want to look at it, you're more than welcome to do that. In the meantime, Dynamic Mechanical Services was in here when they changed the regulators over, since we increased the gas pressure as a result of the new generator. They were in here, and I thought they're pretty big, well-known outfit, so I had them give us a quote on replacing them, and here's their quote. It addresses everything. You're more than welcome to come look at it. Even taking away the old equipment and so on and so forth. And their quote, believe it or not, is less. It's $10,473 to replace them both, get rid of the junk, do all the inspections and permits and on and on and on. This is something we need to take care of for the health of the people that work in here. So I'm gonna propose, unless there's somebody that needs some more information, like Gail, you might want to look at that, but I'm gonna propose that we do go ahead and replace them. And I suggest that we go with Dynamic Mechanical.
Second.
Dynamic Mechanical, they do work for, let me read your list. Alex Home Medical, A&M General, B&B Molders, Beacon Health, Bethany Christian School, Bluegate Performing Arts Center for Hospice, Plays Candy Community Hospital, Bremen, Concord, Community Schools, First United Methodist Church, Goshen Hospital, Granger Community Church, Healy Group, on and on and on and on. So they're big players. And I know the guy personally, but well, actually, yes, he's got it all in here. I can read this to you if you wanna know. Gonna disconnect and remove and dispose of 2 existing radiant tube heaters. One of them's a 40-foot system, the other one's a 50-foot. We propose to provide and install one 50-foot, 150,000 BTU radiant tube heater system and one 40-foot, 125,000 BTU radiant tube heater. They're cast iron burners, polished aluminum reflectors, direct spark ignition, 100% safety shut off, 115 volt draft inducer, monitoring light system and thermostat. We propose to install all required sheet metal venting and outside air intake modifications for the new heaters. We propose to provide and install all gas line modifications for the new heaters. We propose to provide and install all the required hangers and fasteners, all required man lifts for this project, and all required permits and inspections. And we propose to verify the proper operation of the new heater upon completion. That's what I know. If you got questions outside of that. I don't know the answer. I don't have that information. I suspect
Golf was lower.
Golf was gonna put in 100,000 BTU units. Yes. 20, 50, yes. Yes. I would think that's better.
But the higher.
We can check into that. Pending, I'll still stick with my motion that we, go ahead and replace them, and we'll check and make sure that, the efficiency is satisfactory. Yeah, I guess we're gonna vote, we're gonna do it. And we'll research that and pick the one that's, I don't think there's a problem, but we need to ask the question. Oh, then the motion made and seconded to replace the gas heaters. All in favor? Aye, motion carried. Okay. Back to where we were. Overhead doors. There've been some complaints about the doors, motors humming and so on and so forth, and I guess, we had industrial door in here, give them one more chance to solve the problems, and you talked to them, correct?
Yeah, that door, number 4, we've had some issues, but it's once every month or so. I mean, it's just so hit and miss. I came out here and tried to do a halfway up, try to mess with the load, and they just couldn't find it. So they're at the point now, it would need to be replaced, but right now, once again, it's still that once every blue moon kind of thing, but that's where they're at with that door. Also got a quote on the bottom panel of this door. I don't know if it was ever quoted. We talked about it. I couldn't find anything in the files if Daryl got a quote on that bottom panel, but they're gonna give a quote on that. That was one that somebody was pulling out and hit the ladder rack. And that might have been a year ago, a couple of years ago. And then as far as this one that kept on tripping the breaker, I think Rexos, they were just gonna it might be, just need a new breaker in the box is what they kind of came up with, since that's a new board and new everything else. That's the only thing. To see if something else is on that breaker right now, it's a 15. And it's pulling damn near that on the door alone, so we have to see if there's anything else on that circuit. Plus to see if that breaker needs to be replaced.
So we don't have a definite plan yet. We're still doing some more
Right.
research, but obviously the door's gotta work. So, I guess when we get more information or
Right.
whatever, okay, that was, kind of brought up at, well, it wasn't brought up at the last meeting. That's why I put it on the agenda. Any other new business? Old business, we'll survey the water issue out here. We haven't progressed and done anything on that yet. At this point. Southwest Central dissolution status, engine 41. We've settled up with Portage on that. We're 100% done with Portage now. All done. Hooray. We should have a burning document ceremony or something. Okay, so we're done with Portage finally. Work schedule that the union presented, we haven't done any more on that. I don't think we really want to undertake that until we decide what's happening with the territory issue. The Claypen Center territory is pretty much a dead issue at this point. North Liberty Green Center, that is an active issue or project. And in fact, there are public meetings scheduled for January 22nd. It's not 25, it's 26. Sorry about that. And it's at the North Liberty Community Center at, I believe, 5 o'clock. There'll be notices in the paper. And then there's a second one on February 24th at the same place at 5 o'clock. And then the final adoption or whatever is March 17th at the same community center in North Liberty. Any questions on that? Capital needs, that's the next one up there. And that was the spreadsheet that Daryl had worked up, and I don't know if you had a chance to figure out where we were on all that.
Yeah, there's most of that, if I could try to pull it up, is still waiting on a lot of hose. And I think the reason was, I think we had it all custom. It has center fire on it. So I think that's what the delay is as far as that.
We're worried somebody's gonna steal our hose.
I don't know. So we have received quite a bit of it is outstanding.
So can you update that sheet? And,
Yep.
Judy needs a copy of it. Did you guys get copies of that spreadsheet? It's one we've been, yeah, okay. Any questions on any of that? Okay, the generator is sitting out there. The gas service has been upgraded. And I think we're just waiting for final approval from NIPSCO to go ahead and bring it online, and Gemmer is in charge of that. Gemmer, the contractor. So once that's up and running, the whole place will be on the generator. Any questions on that? Yeah, it's sitting out there. Well, they just haven't turned it on. Well, there may be some other minor things to do. Dynamic Mechanical is in here
Today?
working on it today again. So, anyhow, back to the dynamic mechanical, they're the ones that are doing the gas work on the generator as well. That's what made me think of them on the heaters. Training. Has everything that you ordered come in? Are you using it?
As far as the items or the
Yeah.
software? The items we have, the forcible entry door has been shipped from Pennsylvania. So that's on its way. That's about 1,500 pounds. So when it arrives, you'll know. And I think that's the only thing that's outstanding as far as
Well, there was some
props.
lumbers and,
The lumber. Jake, he started working on some of those
Yeah, we got
roof simulator in the window.
oh, that's, okay.
But other than that, I don't.
Any other thoughts on where we could go or, like North Liberty has, they're in the process of building their training.
Yeah, they have cans
Cans.
there, but same thing with South Bend. We have to arrange who's
Yeah.
gonna cover what because it's 15 minutes to North Liberty. Cans and plus you're inside.
Right.
We have to figure all that out.
Okay,
It's not impossible. We just need to figure out how we're gonna do it.
all right, the next item is that truck. It's all paid for now, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a suggestion it needed tires. But how are we gonna use it? Well, let me back up. We did do a DVW on it. We loaded it up with water, took it down to Wyatt, had it weighed, and it's under its rated gross vehicle weight. So I guess we need to know how you're gonna use it and so on.
We're gonna have a BC's meeting coming up and you're looking at 3 new battalion chiefs. But yeah, sure. Gonna discuss with the new battalion chiefs because there's a lot of movement as far as personnel and rank. We know we're gonna use it, just how we're gonna use it. We don't want it just sitting there. I know A shift has talked about how many times they've taken out this month. Andy added some SCBA holders in there so we can take that to a fire, used to be in a rescue and then, we're just trying to find ways to make it work. And that doesn't negate that we may use it as a battalion if that works. And then we also have to look at if we go with Liberty, how that's gonna look, how that'd be beneficial to us between Liberty. But as of right now, it's just being used as a utility / rescue, so we don't know how it's. We have to add it to the call, so it's not in the box cards, which is another issue that hasn't been updated with box cards. So in order to get that used more on other shifts, we have to uniformly say during this call, this is gonna go out. Because if it's left up to, it's whatever you feel at that time, it's not gonna work. Same thing with rolling out for fire alarms. We need to have a set system of the tankers going out with the engine, not 2 guys in a pickup, falling behind. That stuff that we're gonna discuss and get a better grasp of it. But I know it's a sore subject for a lot of people of how we're gonna use it. What it was initially said was gonna be used for, that's still gonna be worked out. So I guess short answer, gonna work on it a little bit quicker than it has for the past year. It's been up in the air for the past year. So hopefully we get that finalized this month at that BC meeting, how we're gonna go about it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Just for your edification, we've, made it clear to Zach that we feel it's important that he has at least monthly meeting face to face with his 3 BCs. So, communication is consistent and the same for everybody and, so, he's gonna schedule those monthly and, okay. We'll be looking forward to how you plan to use it. Any other questions on that? Yeah.
Yeah. main primary there. Hey, this is.
I think it was to try to get more out of the battalion chiefs. Um,
Yeah.
and second calls. So if there's a second call, that we have more equipment available to use, right? But you also have to take a look at if there's one person in there. I, I mean, back in the day, yeah, we used to ghost pump, we used to do a lot of things, but you know, we have an extrication tool in there to pop a door, but in reality, are we gonna extricate, have command, deal with the ambo, deal with patients with one BC? I think that was a big ask of having one person in there. Um, it's great to have all those tools there if you need them, but I don't know. I don't have a, I get where they were coming from. It was another tool to use, but practicality, it's a big truck at night. It's tough to drive by yourself. It's not lit up well. Uh, One or two, if you have, because we have that floater, sometimes they're on the squad, sometimes they're tanker, and sometimes they stay back with a BC. So there will be at times where there could be two people in there, or it could just be one. This month, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're changing battalion chiefs, and I think that's a lot of the problems that I wanna get rid of is kind of the gray area. We're gonna have to do stuff, be on the same page. I know there's little differences between each shift, but I think we still haven't come up with the center plan of how we're gonna go about things, and that's why. And I understand what was presented and all that, but I'm looking at my battalion chiefs that, what's our game plan now? But there is some use for it now, and we're gonna use it. We bought it, we're gonna utilize it. And if it is the best way to have that second out with a second person, then we're gonna do it. That's not off the table. But there's a lot of different in opinion between the chiefs, and I don't think we're all on the same page. I think off the bat, where there's a lot of gray area that wasn't discussed, and then once it got here, then everybody kind of went their separate ways. So I'm just want to be on the same page of what we're going forward, and that's it. So we don't have to keep bringing it up. Um,
Well, and just to recall how it all got started, I think one of our firefighters saw that a similar type vehicle. I don't know where he went or where he saw it, but he came back and he was all excited about it. And we shared it with all the troops, and we as a board thought, wait, everybody's all for this. And then we get it here and it says, and so anyhow, plenty of frustration going around because I thought it was gonna be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now it sits there, so anyhow. That horse is, maybe it'll come back to life. It's not dead yet. Okay, exercise equipment, that was brought up. And I guess I'm thinking, we're thinking that number one, how much does it get used? Number two, that's kind of a depressing place to go work out in there. So I think we need to have some other options. I've got some ideas, but they're too premature to be talking about them here tonight, but, if there's some other place in here that we could put it so it's more inviting to use, I don't know where that is, but, you can put your thinking hats on together on that, but again, I'm not in here a lot, and I'm certainly not in here 24/7 at any time or in all the shifts, but I just know, I see John Zwickel in there and some of the rest of you occasionally. Oh, you bought stuff at your, okay. Buy everybody a bicycle? It would look like a college campus in it. Well anyhow, I understand it'd be nice to have, but I'm not sure buying a new treadmill and sticking it in there is really what we want in the total scheme of things. You can, if you wanna debate that with me, that's fine.
Yeah, it needs a lot of work, but I think just taking one piece at a time is not the way to go. If we're gonna revamp that area, then, come up with a price to do
And we're,
that.
we're hurting for storage, whether that could be, converted into some kind of a storage room where it's not so depressing. And,
Yeah.
and then find some other, I don't know. Pitch a tent. It's an issue that needs further discussion before I think we're ready to buy something. You're about to.
Right now, with that brand, the original discussion with you with that, the slaughter, the Indian city, and that, did a workout area, but right now it's good for the stuff that they got without adding. But static building, so making another area. So our process that you're talking about is at least used to be make it a little useful. Trading what you can use it then down the road. If they can be able to add on where, so, and we also talked about. If we do upstairs, we can sit there, be a lot of waiting upstairs as well as just logistics, moving everything out of the RV, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's perfect sense as well as.
Is there any possibility we could go out there in the old truck bay? I mean, I know we got trucks sitting everywhere, but that might, as far as existing space, I think that's about the only logical place, but what do you do with the stuff that's in there?
That's what, yeah, we're keep on moving things around and. But they're not just wanting, the shiny new thing. I guess the treadmill, you can walk on it, but if you're running, that belt is gonna.
Yeah.
Really,
Pardon?
That wasn't something compared to the bottom.
Uh,
The rest of it's not the bottom, was key. Station. So.
yeah, I'm sure it's probably beyond its usefulness, but, anyhow, I think we need a clearer picture before we start adding to it, and then maybe there's some other options, that I'm thinking about, but I don't want to bring it up here before I know more about it. Okay, any other old business? Okay, fire chief's report.
with first due, we were looking at doing the training through first due. Then going through some of the paperwork up there, found that we're in a contract for another year for a training module through Vector. So by sticking with Vector for this year would save us about $2,000. And that's where I'm leaning to go. Because we don't know with the Liberty thing, if this goes through, what we're gonna end up doing. So for this year, people are, we're familiar with that program, so we're gonna stick with it. First due's got a lot of hiccups at the beginning of the year. They said, once January comes through, January 1st, things are gonna be perfect with dispatch. That wasn't necessarily a smooth transition, but it's getting better. Braxton has talked to the contact. We have so many training hours built into the contract, and so Braxton had talked with our contact, and we're in a better position now, I think, with the incident reporting. So that's going well, and that first due is what we also use for scheduling, inventory, pre-plans, inspections. So instead of having a bunch of different software companies, we all have it in one. And that's what we're looking to do with that training module. but since we're already paying for one for another year, we're just gonna utilize that. But I'm gonna have them give us a demo to try to work on it and see if that's what we want to go to in the future. Runs. Let's see. So I'll go back to December. December runs, we had 86 calls, 7 were fires, 40 EMS, 15 accidents. Overall, for last year, we ended up with 1,044 runs. And I kind of broke it down to 823 were in center. Or for us, our department here, 221 calls were for mutual aid. So compared to 2024 to 2025, center has gone up, just center township has gone up 13% with calls. Green, our coverage area has gone up 21% between 24 and 25. And just to kind of compare to what we were doing at Southwest, our last year with Southwest was 1,600 calls. Any questions on the calls or? It's down here, fire law best practices system. That's something we're gonna take a look at. 'Cause I don't think, not too many people know where it's at. I know Chris has helped try to keep that up to date. Exactly. So that's a thing that, once again, getting standards, how we're gonna run things and how, what's expected of people. So that's something we're gonna work on. And so we're gonna keep on working on that. Equipment maintenance. The sensor on the back squad 42 was completed. We had rotated tires on Tahoe. I know those are kind of worn. We'll see how much more life we can get out of them. And then all 55 SCBAs were hydro tested, and they're back from the hydro testing. So that's all done. Personnel issues, I guess, which is a strong word, but we promoted Andy Lawrence, Captain Andy Lawrence, to battalion chief. Andy's been with Southwest Center for the past 16 years and is also the fire chief of Coons Lake. So he'll be officially in that role next round. With him moving up, that opens up a captain spot, so I'm taking letters of intent from anybody until this Friday. We also got a Battalion Chief Denny Stupp submitted his letter of retirement. His last day will be April 11th. And Denny has served 16 years here at Southwest, and he was at Portage 6 years prior to. So asked some guys on the union to see what they're going to do for recognition of Denny, and then with the board or the department, we'll see what recognition we can help out with, and for all the service that Denny has put in over the years. Applications, we started taking more applications. Go ahead.
Let me ask you one. Do we still consider Bobby Literal as an interim BC as a result of the Chris Haggerty deal? Is that
Yeah.
what, is that?
So you don't. But to the point of just
Doing,
maybe,
I think so.
I mean, it's not allowed on the premises.
Yeah, I will, I guess I'll jump ahead then to the Chris Haggerty deal. He did have a court date on January 6th. And the woman that we talked to there was gone, and she, until today, and she actually called me today and said the no contact order was still in place. So that's what happened Monday. And, there's a continuance, lo and behold, surprise, surprise, to February 3rd, I believe.
Mhm.
That's his next court date, but I agree, this has gone on long enough. Let's make Bobby officially the BC. And,
Just to take. It's up to you. But I don't think it-
No, I think,
okay. Sorry I interrupted you.
no, you're fine. Applications we're taking again, just because there's some movement and you never know, with firefighters moving to a different department. Plus, I think getting some applications looking forward to the merge and, possible merge. We'll definitely need some more firefighters, for that aspect. So we'll take those for the rest of the month and see where we're at. We also have people that have applied before are still on the list, are still valid. We've called a few of them just to make sure that they're still interested or haven't gotten jobs elsewhere. And then we talked about forced entry, and then the grants and Steve Dalton, we kind of talked about with Tom. I'm digging out a lot of what was left. I didn't get much of a handoff of. So I'm working on that, work on day-to-day stuff as well as working in the future for this possible territory. And I'm not using it as excuse, but I'll try to dig through those grants and who's in charge of that and all that as soon as possible.
Well, I do probably have a better handle on the history of what we're going through.
Right.
And again, Steve Dalton has the name of a township that went through similar grief trying to get their identity straightened out that the federal government and other agencies would recognize. And that's been the problem. We had so many different names: Center Township Volunteer Fire Department, Southwest Central, and Center Township Trustee, and yada, yada, yada. And there's many names and numbers floating around that we could never pick the right one that federal grants or state grants would recognize. So that, anyhow, Dalton knows the name of a person that went through all that similar situation, and could maybe hook you up with them. That's it. Any questions for the chief? You got off easy.
Sweet.
Reports from others, Union Rep.
Oh, yeah, don't really have much other than would like to get some information. I don't know where you guys are at on this new possible territory, but I've seen stuff on Facebook that's giving me more information than what we're getting out of you guys about meetings and possible territory. It's been posted through Green Township Advisory Board, and it just feels like we're being left out here. We don't know any information, like, you know, what possible salaries and what kind of personnel, how's it going to affect us over the next year or, you know, possibly moving into the following year? We got 15 guys here that their jobs could be affected. So if there's any information, I would like to have some transparency between you guys on the board and us firefighters here.
Okay, I will attempt to respond to that. There's a difference in this situation than there was with the Clay Ken deal. The numbers, Daryl and the other chiefs worked together, put together a budget. And then that Steve Dalton from that group, worked up a handout with all that information. I don't think they haven't gone through, this all kind of started with North Liberty. They, didn't get down into the nitty gritty. I don't know about salaries. What they set out with was what the budget was gonna be for each year, total budget. So they didn't get down into the nitty gritty, but, the salaries are gonna be competitive, I believe. So I haven't shared anything that I don't know about I mean, that's part of the reason I don't know a whole lot more than you, other than the handout that gave us, showing us what proposed budget was gonna be for 2027, 2028, and 2029, and its effect on the tax rate and so on. So that's the kind of the detail that we've had so far. I think the minor detail, well, it's not minor detail, but the salaries and so on and so forth are significant, but I don't think they've been lumped into a total, if nothing else. So as an example, I think the budget for for 2027 is gonna be like $6.9 million. And I think that was arrived at by looking at the budgets of the potential members and increasing them a certain percentage and so on. So, you know, I'd be glad to share with you anything I know, but I don't know.
Like I said, I just,
And that's,
this popped up one day about the meetings and it's like, there's been nothing really said to the guys here and. Yeah.
well, like I said before, I think we've hung in there and we've only had like 3 meetings with them. And we just think they're a better culture for a fit for us than going the other direction. We're still gonna have our shift the way it is, 2 on, 4 off. We're still planning on 5 people here, potentially an ambulance. Of course, we're limited with 5 overnight accommodations here. But everybody that's currently here is gonna be offered a job. I'm next to positive of that.
Well, it's just,
So, I don't know if we're gonna have to go through an interview thing, or I don't see that happening. I just think you might reshuffle people. Your titles may be different, but you're still gonna have a job. And I
that's
think
more
it'll-
information than I've have heard. So Tom, so I thank you for that. And anything that comes out in the future, it'd just be nice if it gets passed along, you know, so we can keep everybody updated. That's all I'm asking for.
yeah,
So,
and I guess I had nothing to do with it, but you had a meeting with down there with Bobby Literal, you guys tossed around some stuff. I don't know if there's,
No, they had the same thing. They felt like they weren't told anything from their board. So, they had a fire department meeting. Bobby just invited me down there just to listen. I'm a Liberty Township taxpayer, and I used to be on their department. Anyway, it was same thing. We've heard this from this board member and this from what's going on. So I was there 3 hours. And there's no specifics as far as, you know, the scheduling, who's going where. They were asking about locution, if would tones go off here and down there. It just got out of, but in the weeds a little bit. But those meetings are probably, that's your money, tax rate, everything it's gonna go through. And now I'm trying to figure out what operationally we're gonna do.
Okay.
I haven't been promised anything what I'm gonna be at, so me and Bobby just spitballing what's best, for both townships and for our guys. And I think that helps out a lot with other mergers. Sometimes it feels like there's a takeover and feel like you're gonna be pushed at the bottom. I don't feel that way at all. After listening to those guys and talking to Bobby, I think we're gonna figure out what's best for everybody. And it's gonna be
I appreciate
pushed
that.
aside.
Like I said, just some transparency and
Yeah.
as you guys know stuff, it would be great to pass that along. And so
Absolutely.
as us guys here, you know, we have a little more information,
Yeah.
just to kind of keep there, you know, and
Uh,
appreciate that. And
Steve Dalton, wrote up the resolutions, so each of the entities, so there's actually gonna be 4. North Liberty, the town of North Liberty, well, Liberty Township, the town of North Liberty, Green, and Center. And the governing bodies of all 4 of those have to enact identical resolutions. So they put together the language for that, and I spent all last Saturday afternoon going through those, looking for things that I've experienced in the 30 years I've been doing this, getting into marriages and out of marriages and all that kind of stuff, and then the interlocal agreement will be, of course, theirs was a little different than ours, even though I think Pete Augustino wrote them both. And there's some things about the capital equipment and the stuff that we own going into it. Do we retain ownership, and does it really have to be titled? It does not necessarily have to be titled. You just keep records of what trucks we own going in, and kind of all the stuff we went through with Portage. And the other thing, that we had an issue with Portage was building maintenance. And, obviously that's real property that we own going into it. And the people in North Liberty don't want to pay to put a new roof on this, or put the new heating units in and that kind of stuff. So I wanted that language clarified in that territory agreement, so that there was no ambiguity about that going forward. And, the other thing, it had in there that the transition would take place on July 1st, and I said, no, I think it's better to be the first of the year. Went through that with a mid-year deal before, and it was a regular disaster with the Crumbstown Fire Station and so on. So we need some more time. That's too soon after it's a go or a no-go. It's too soon. Guys we gotta date each other before we get married, I think is maybe the analogy. And, so I think that got changed, and, so anyhow, he's, putting that together. So that's kind of the level I've been working at. Not so much down in the weeds with the details that you folks are interested in.
Well, like I said, that's more than we have heard, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, yeah. There's lots of rumors everywhere, and then it's like we always used to say, telephone, telegraph, tell dad. And I think anyhow. Okay. Thanks, Zach. Report from others. The last thing is IT, and Chris is here. Your cohort left.
Touch base. I don't, if there was a list of things that we might to try and get your purchases. Other things. We put it for that, so we put it for the deadline. I'm working through this. And so my road building paid good attention is to update the location here on top of location before Saturday to make sure there aren't surprises. There shouldn't be a problem. Keith and I, and who else here, we went up and emptied out the equipment closet as well as over here in the report room, taking 2 loads of pure stuff to the recycling place. And so there's some things that, lo and behold, we found a computer that we had bought as a spare. So it's ready to be installed. And we'll get that taken care of. My plan is this weekend. And so yeah, other than purchases, any question or anything anybody needs, just let me know. I'm sure looking forward to getting that.
Well, another big issue is moving all this gear
Yes.
from the wall here. So I don't know. I have no clue on who does that kind of stuff, and we need to get some costs, and that needs to be done. And I can't emphasize enough that if we're going into this territory, we got a lot of stuff to fix in this building before we go. And, the other thing is, and I guess it's legal, but I was concerned that we wouldn't be able to have a building maintenance line item in our township general. So to go forward. And so anyhow, that's, apparently that's legal. So we'd have to start, as a township, have to start budgeting for building maintenance. And, anyhow, so while we've got some money, we need, anything that needs to be fixed here, we need to be doing it. And, when you said you found a locution computer or whatever, we need to go through everything. And if we got a bunch of stuff that we're not using, let's clean house and get rid of it. And let's be careful. Something that may have historical significance, old pictures, files, whatever, maybe set it out in an area and say, hey, anybody thinks this needs to be kept, have their chance to have their say. But, yeah, it's like any place else. You don't want to see my basement, but I'm sure everybody's got their stuff that they ought to be going through. And anyhow, I encourage you to do that and just be careful we don't throw away something that we shouldn't be.
Sort of wall, we shouldn't. We're also going to be talking to Surf Internet. I know there was some discussion, and we've been talking to Comcast last year about them to contract with Surf Internet to bring fiber optic. Based on what Surf Internet, we listed their services and what they offer, their business, telephone and everything. We're gonna get with them to find out, have somebody come over here, give us a quote on what it costs, just to know, switch things over. So it's just straight fiber optic here, opposed to Comcast. They've got obviously better bandwidth.
Faster.
Yeah, much faster, especially faster, shorter. And, that was the big thing. Yeah, because I'm not looking forward to behind that and blue sheet Saturday. That's going to take. And yeah, I love to get that stuff. Part of getting all the junk out here wise was to do that kind of first step into figuring out where we read that. So we can server.
I bet there's a whole bunch of people out that data center contractors that know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, setting up a server rack, it's not my strong suit. So we can find somebody to do that and just have to find somebody who will, get everything on the other side. Yeah, I think you probably do the server rack. But I don't know, my druthers would be to have somebody licensed, sure, bonded and all that stuff is supposed to, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Hours dropping out in the middle of the discussion about the drop out of power, which was shutting down some. I apologize, trying to remember what's that. With that discussion. Yeah, it's a new, I don't know, it's a every. Something that brought out. I don't know what it is. Fusion, what is change drive? Well, I don't know, has anybody had any issue, the firefighters who had any issue with fusion driver recently? We've been on the internet talking about it a couple of weeks ago, or on Saturday. Wasn't connected to that any problems. Quite a discussion. Really? That's less.
Oh.
What are you talking about, firewall issue? Oh, possibly, yeah. think we're okay on this. But speaking of firewalls, we'll be getting into firewall. Chief.
Was it that if you lost power, lost power?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That new situation. Oh, it doesn't change. I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's, what that had to do with, and that's where I don't know, I can check the deed and see if that was purchased, but it had to do with that backup. This was the locations, the backup that we have now, it couldn't be the exact. Computer was. No, that's absolutely right, and it powered it anyway. The computer will problem is location has to have 100% uptime, very time. And there's enough, even in milliseconds of things. There's enough that in the full execution can restart. So if you don't know that, you could be sitting around, power comes back on you and go there. So suggestion, my suggestion anyway, was to get, so it's called online backup. So that it is 100% battery operated to begin with. And, so that would be, and then take that other battery back there. Keep one figure. But, so, yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, that's where I can check it and see if that's something that was purchased and do that. I think left was check it's on. Yes. Yeah, I think that's probably where you're, yeah, thanks. That's exactly.
Just as a side note, has nothing to do with certain that started commercial. I have certain and they put it on me. I'm not.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things, and they're right here, but Alfred, that folder, you know, go through, yeah, government. I think there's hopefully, well, no, we get some person, we have somebody out there and look at it. But, I've had a linear stuff right here, so it shouldn't, shouldn't be the right. Yes, I do, but we can transfer the phone. Yeah. I can't wait here.
Okay. Did you get that all down, Gail? Any other reports? Any other questions? Next meeting will be February 10th here at 5 o'clock. But then again, we have the territory meeting on the 22nd, right?
Yes.
22nd in North Liberty. In addition, we have to have, well, it won't be the next meeting. We have to have a special meeting for your annual report. And you know when that's gonna be yet? Okay, so it has to be this month, the annual report from the trustees, so. Yes,
That meeting.
yeah, probably, yes. Well, it's a public meeting.
Yeah.
Anybody, yes. Yeah, well, that's a good question. It's gonna be at their facility. So, it's. I guess they'd be leading the charge, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
It's recorded. They record their meetings. Okay, I'll accept the motion to close. Been a motion made by Gail and seconded by Tom. Meeting's adjourned.